Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to give it another minute or so just to allow many of you to log on. I see that many of you are joining right now, so just bear with us and we'll begin momentarily. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. I want to welcome all of you to our webinar today called Making Sustainability the New Normal. This webinar is in partnership with Messe Frankfurt. So thank you, Messe Frankfurt, for coordinating this panel with us and supporting us in gathering these incredible experts that are going to be joining our conversation today. This whole series is part of our Fear into Fuel webinar series. We started it, I can't even remember anymore, almost 7 weeks ago. So this is probably our 34th webinar. We've been doing them almost every day. And our Olaf, thank you for joining us.
Sorry.
Hi, we're just getting started, no problem.
I had some technical problems. Now I'm with you. Sorry about that.
Well, good. We were just saying hello. So
Yes,
give me a minute and we'll introduce everybody. I'm glad you're here. We have a lot of people that have joined us. You could see in the chat, everyone is saying hello from all different countries, which is always such a great feeling to see that. So all of you speakers, if you just click chat below, it's going to appear on your right, and then you can see everyone that's having conversations with us as we go through this webinar. So I was just saying, these webinars is something we started almost 7 weeks ago because we wanted the industry to keep going. We wanted everyone to use this moment for fuel instead of fear. And we felt a lot of our clients needed us to feed them relevant information. So this is part of that series. I want to introduce myself. My name is Lily Brelovich. I'm the founder of Fashion Snoops. For many of you that are new to this series, that are joining us for the first time, I want to introduce Fashion Snoops. We are a forecasting agency. For all of you that are not familiar, we're global. We've been using artificial and human intelligence to surface trend-driven business opportunities. We've been doing it for over 20 years, and we've helped brands and retailers and manufacturers in the fashion, accessories, home decor, beauty, media, and marketing fields, consumer-facing fields. So for all of you that are not familiar with us, webinars is not the core of our business, but we've started to do webinars to serve information to all of you that we can't. This is our only way of reaching you. Today we'll be talking about sustainability, which has been a big topic and discussion for many of us, and we've had a lot of questions come our way through all these webinars, from all of you guys asking, how do we make more sustainable choices, and really looking for resources. So this webinar was created out of all of those questions. We have a few other webinars coming up next week. Thursday, you can join us for designing beyond spring, summer 21 and beyond. And then Friday, we're partnering up with Indie Beauty for beauty ingredients. So that's coming up next week. And on Wednesday, for all of you that are clients, we're doing a product as protection, a webinar. So that's coming up next week. So you can go to the next slide so we can introduce our incredible speakers. Great. So you know me, I'm joined by Nia, who's head of our materials section. Nia, why don't you say hello?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nia Silva, and I run everything for material content on the site.
Awesome. And then Olaf, who's been a great partner for us in creating this. So Olaf, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Olaf, you're going to unmute yourself.
Yes, sorry about that. Okay,
I know, I always forget that. Yeah, I always forget that.
Okay,
too, so
perfect,
worry,
perfect.
We'll
Now I'm with you. Thank you so much, Lily. I'm very happy to be with you this day, this evening, everywhere in the world. So my name is Olaf Schmidt. I'm Vice President of Messe Frankfurt, and I'm in charge of our textile activities worldwide.
Awesome. Marco, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Marco Lucchetti. I'm leading strategic projects at Sanco, ISCO, and really glad to be part of the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco. Georg, would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Georg Dieners. I'm the Secretary General of the OEKO-TEX Association, and I'm sitting here in Zurich in Switzerland.
Thank you so much for joining us. And then Harold, please go ahead and introduce yourself. And I know it's really late for you, so I appreciate you making this work for everyone.
My pleasure, Lily. My name is Harold Weghorst. I'm VP of Marketing and Branding with Lensing Group. And I'm based in Hong Kong, so it's about midnight here.
Wow, you look really awake for midnight, Harold. So thank you.
You keep me awake.
Well, we'll make sure this goes through, and then you can get to rest. We appreciate your time. And as you could see, there's so many people from across the globe that are joining us: Dubai, Paris, Italy. I mean, if you get the scroll on the side, it's pretty amazing. And we've been so overwhelmed with how people have received these conversations and have had dialogue with us through these chats. So it's incredible how we can connect from across the globe and all be on the same space digitally. So it's serving us well at this moment. So we're gonna get started. And I'd like Olaf to kick it off with an introduction and a little bit more information about Messe Frankfurt for all of you that are not familiar.
Yes, thank you very much, Lily. And it's a great pleasure to give you some details about Messe Frankfurt. You know, we are one of the leading exhibition companies in the world. Very big, huge company. We have offices all over the world. And today, of course, we talk about sustainability and about our textile activities. Here you see a map with our shows worldwide. At the moment, we have 58 shows in different segments all over the world. Our headquarter is, of course, in Frankfurt in Germany. And we have shows in the segment for home textile, technical textile, apparel fabrics, also for textile processing, fashion shows, and also textile care. So completely the industry value chain, very well connected to the industry. And yeah, for our target is always to be close to the industry and to identify new markets and new possibilities for us as Messe Frankfurt, for our customers, of course. Yeah, and here you see a slide of 3 of our shows because we don't have the time, and I think it's also not of interest for all of you to see which kind of shows we have worldwide. So our target is now to focus on 3 shows, mainly in the context of with sustainability. So Neonit, it's part of the Berlin Fashion Show, the global hub for fashion sustainability and innovation take place every 2 times per year in Berlin during Berlin Fashion Week. You know, because of Corona this year, we have a different situation. Usually the show will take place in July, but we have to cancel this show because of the situation. It's not the only show which we have to cancel, you know, very special situation for us, but this is not the topic of today. So this format, Neonit, combines various formats for different target groups. And for us, it's important. It's not only a show, a fashion show. No, it's a combination of networking event, runway shows for the industry with multi-label brands, especially in the context of sustainability. And of course, for you, I think it's interesting. It's the largest show and the most important show for fashion, for green fashion, for sustainable fashion in the world. And when you talk about sustainable fashion, yes, it's important to say it's really a fashion show, and the background are sustainable production. This is really important. Otherwise, people will not buy these products. And then we have Home Textile in Frankfurt. It's the largest show for home and contract textile in the world. We have around 3,000 exhibitors every year. It's the beginning of our shows here in Frankfurt. The next edition will be from 12 to 15 of January. Last year, we had the 50th edition of Heim Textil. So you see a very long history of this show and very successful in the segment of home and contract textiles. And also at this show, we have some specific program and offers for sustainable solutions in this industry. We have, for the first time, a partnership with the United Nations Office for Partnerships with the Sustainable Development Goals. I think it's a very interesting development and connection also for our industry partner here at the shows from the exhibitor side, but also from the visitor side. But I can tell you, we already start with sustainable issues at the show 10 years ago. And I think not at every show you already find this kind of long history to be well connected to green to the green industry, to the eco industry, and to green development, also in the home textile segment. So since 10 years, we have a green directory, and there you find all companies who offer sustainable home textile to the industry. And Texprocess, Textile, also both shows are in Frankfurt every 2 years. Also in 2019, we have sustainability at Textile and Texprocess. Textile, yes, you can hear it from the name, mainly focusing on technical textiles for all kind of industry. And Texprocess is the leading international trade fair for processing of textile and flexible materials. And there you have a digital solution, sustainable solution for the production of garments. So you see, we as Messe Frankfurt, for us, it's important to be very, at a very early stage, to be connected to sustainable solution from the production side, but also from the material side. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Olaf. So we'll get rolling into the presentation. I just wanna let the listeners know that if you do want to ask any questions of any of the experts or all of the experts, do add them to the chat. We have prepared questions that we've heard from many of you, and those are the ones that we'll be asking the panel, but we'll try to see if we can get to some other questions. So do chat them and do continue to converse with us through the presentation. I know many of you are on, and we are so excited that this is an interesting topic for you. The more of us have this conversation, the more sustainability becomes a reality for more brands and retailers. So we're gonna guide the conversation through 3 pillars. At Fashion Snoops, we have been tracking sustainable movements and cultural understanding and what consumers want for many years in this conversation. And these are the 3 that we've been tracking. We thought it would be interesting to flow the conversations in topics such as this. So we're gonna look at conscious design, we're gonna speak about nature's karma, and then we're gonna address less but better. For each one of these, we're gonna talk about the actual pillar, and then address the speakers and ask questions that align with this conversation. So we can get started. let's move into conscious design. And I'm gonna do a little introduction about conscious design, and then Nia is gonna take it over and talk about the different segments within this conversation. So we've had a lot of you in chat in the past few weeks ask us about, is the consumer going to spend more on sustainable products? A lot of you have said we have invested heavily in sustainable solutions and we're worried about whether that is relevant right now. In essence, the question is, is this the time to invest in sustainable products and conscious design? And the answer every time has been yes. We truly feel, and I apologize, I'm back in New York today. This is my first day back in New York, and I'm not used to the noise outside, so I hope you're not hearing it as loud as I am. But that is New York. So we say yes, it's the time, because it is really going to be up to us. It's going to be up to us, the makers of product. It's going to be up to us, retailers, to really be the ones who lead this forward. It isn't going to be a consumer who's going to want to pay more for anything. And it isn't going to be up to them to really pivot and have this important conversation. So we say it's more important than ever. And the reason we call this conscious design, because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when we talk about full sustainability. We actually believe that there isn't such a thing as fully sustainable unless we're not making any more product ever. It's really hard to be part of a fully sustainable solution. So we talk more about conscious choices, conscious design. And that is when we all get to question every decision we make and how it affects everything else. We talk a lot about the ecosystem and understanding that every reaction has another action behind it, and really understanding that no matter what we make and whatever we create, that we are all connected. And if we could just go back to the square root of that in all of our creation choices, I think we'll be ahead of the game. So take it away, Nia, and just give us a few topic conversations in this conscious design movement.
Perfect. Thanks, Lily. So just to expand on some of the thinking and the relevance behind this pillar of conscious design, we have 4 drivers here. First, starting out with camaraderie, not competition, which couldn't be more relevant, especially in the moment we're in right now. So how can we as an industry have greater synergy, collaborate together, people with aligned values, and really to create change on a wide-reaching level. Next, we have corporate stewardship, which speaks to the stance businesses themselves are taking in their accountability for their own shortcomings. We think that a human approach to reach consumers and being honest about implementing change is what really counts. A great example of this is B-Lab. They're a nonprofit that works with smaller brands on how to be sustainable. Then we have ecosystem, which is really big for conscious design. And that looks at the interconnectedness of it all. All the decisions we make have rippling effects across the planet and amongst each other. So how can we get better at balancing that design process and making better decisions, knowing that everything is linked? And then finally, rounding out, we have education. And I think the biggest idea with education here is how can we really be targeted in our language around sustainability, and what initiatives are we taking to educate consumers on the right information. And with that, I can pass it along to Olaf, who will give us some insight from Messe Frankfurt's perspective.
Yes, thank you very much. I think especially in the exhibition business, networking and to connect people is it's important. This is our business. Again, not at this very difficult time and the moment, but we are optimistic that later on people can meet again and some exhibition place worldwide. So, and partnership are important also for our worldwide events between the industry, from fabric supplier to industry partners in the technology field, technical textiles, but also in the production of garments. And so also in the contact with CR activities. So we as Messe Frankfurt decided to be member of the United Nations Global Compact since 2010. So it was a management decision to be partner and especially to know, to learn what's happened in the sustainable environment worldwide, and how the industry will go on with this issue in the future. In the textile field, the first show was our activities with Ethical Fashion Show in Paris, 2010, and later on with Green Showroom in Berlin. Later on, we merged both shows together, and now the name, as at the beginning of my presentation, I said, is Neonit in Berlin, the most and very important show for sustainable topics in the fashion industry. So I can tell you, for all our shows, for Texpertise Network, the key topic is sustainability. It's a future, it's a normal, of course, yeah, but it's the future of the industry, and a company will be not successful with sustainable solution. And last year, we also start to cooperate with the Conscious Fashion Campaign and the United Nations Office of Partnership to promote the goals for the future of the industry.
Great. Well, let's jump into some questions. Thank you, Olaf. Let's jump into some questions from our experts in the panel. And I'm gonna direct my first question to you, Marco. We've been saying this over and over on many of our conversation is, let's not go back to normal after this. You know, this time gave us an opportunity to really stop and pause and question. So going back to normal would really be a waste. Let's talk about the new normal. So my question to you is, how are you using this moment as an opportunity to reassess your pre-existing models?
Definitely, we all agree that normal will not be as it was before, meaning we will be jumping back into a new normal. I would say that sustainability, which is the topic of the panel, will be more than just a marketing leverage. It will be a way of doing business, because of the fact that we are living these moments. Again, first of all, I guess we have to consider how the industry will be shaped after the crisis, because of the fact, I guess, that we will see the real impact of the crisis as of July or September. And again, we are using this time to reassess our value selling proposition to the marketplace, as well as trying to redefine what does sustainability means. I think that, or we think that at ISCO, at Sanco, that sustainability is an old word, because of the fact means everything and nothing at the same time. We do prefer speaking about responsible innovation, which means that we know that we are working in one of the most polluting industries on planet Earth, because if I'm not wrong, the textile industry is the second most polluting industry after the petrol one on global base. So being aware of this fact, we do prefer saying, okay, we try to innovate, we try to progress in our business, trying to use as much as possible technology, as well as trying to use as much as possible, let's say, an open-minded approach with all the players on the value chain. We are working mainly in the cotton industry, for instance, and I would say we are speaking too much about saving water, about saving energy, saving on chemicals or on raw materials, and we tend to forget sometimes all the aspects which are related to CSR, which means to corporate social responsibility. Because at the end of the day, just having an holistic vision around what does sustainability means, I guess we could be in the condition of approaching the new normal in the right way. Again, I think that the three key words to approach the new normal are creativity, because of the fact we are working in a creative industry and we are trying to give emotions to people whenever they are wearing new garments. Competence. Competence has never been important as today, as well as citizenship, because we have been discovering that it is important that industries are giving back something to the communities in which they operate. at ISCO we are trying to operate as such, and I would say that throughout 30-year business, such a vision has been bringing some satisfactions to the company. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marco. Harold, I'm gonna direct the next question to you and ask similar but different way. Why do you believe that this moment is actually the perfect moment to invest in sustainable efforts? And what was your driving reason for investing in sustainability in the first place?
Well, we are still in the midst of the pandemic, and a few weeks ago, the BBC published a study showing that the pollution levels have fallen by 60% in the UK, and we see similar results across the world. I think this is one of the positives of the reduced movement during the current lockdown periods, and the pandemic has highlighted how much damage human activity causes to the environment. I believe that before this crisis, fashion companies weren't able to implement sustainable solutions fast enough to counterbalance the negative environmental and social impacts of the growth. However, over the past few months, sustainability has been brought to the foreground, and as an immediate threat to the public health, the pandemic has demonstrated how fragile we are as human beings, and how our future depends on a healthy environment. So I think this is also nature drawing a line in the sand and giving us a wake-up call. We at Lenzing, it has always been about sustainability. Our fibers are made from botanic, from trees, and sustainability is with brands like Tencel and EcoVero, we are really driving sustainability, and we feel we're in the right position, all of us in the industry, to drive sustainability much more prominently.
Couldn't agree more, Harold. We'll speak more about nature's karma in our next pillar, but you did a perfect segue into that. But before we move into it, I do wanna address Georg and ask you, Georg, in OEKO-TEX, we've been talking a lot about camaraderie over competition. As you could see here, we're coming together to discuss a topic. We might not be, maybe competing, maybe part of a big community that's trying out of this moment and also make better choices. Can you share any interesting partnerships that you've aligned to kind of share your sustainable mission?
Mm-hmm. Yes, honestly, I see it a little bit in a holistic way. My thoughts are that we are moving together, and you can clearly feel and see that in private as well as in the professional life. And for the OEKO-TEX, we have always felt ourselves to be a partner for the industry on the one hand, in order to offer a good solution in terms of a safe consumer production, but also within the association where we support the institutes which are in strongly affected countries like in Spain and in France and Italy, where we try to ensure the testing service also through other institutes of the association. So at this stage, our mission statement at this time is we come together all for one and one for all. And this is what to say from my side.
Yeah, we agree, and I think it's making us all question, you know, how do we partner up in new ways and, you know, create a bigger change, bigger than what we can do individually as individual companies. What do we do as big community coming together? So thank you for that. Perfect timing. We're going to move into nature's karma. And Harold, you spoke to this already, but I'll say a little bit more about it. And yeah, a lot of us have felt that this moment is, you know, our nature saying it's enough. And like you said, we've got to witness through this time of all of us humans being stuck in our homes, nature flourish and animals come back out and fish come back out. And it really kind of pointed the finger that we haven't lived in harmony with it for a long, long time, you know, really focusing on ourselves and not taking care of the planet that we live in. I got the pleasure of working with some indigenous leaders, and they just live such a beautiful, harmonious life with the earth that here in this world that we're living, we're not aware of. So, you know, in this conversation, we really look at nature as our teacher, and how do we take care of it more than harm it, and how do we make choices that align with living in harmony with the earth. So Nia, I'll hand it over to you to say a little bit more.
Perfect. Thank you, Lily. So the Nature's Karma Pillar explores these following drivers, you know, first starting out with biophilia, and that term along with biomimicry are two concepts that we at Fashion Snoops have been speaking about for quite a while now. With biophilia, that's the human tendency to interact or be closely associated with nature. So influencing design thinking, really looking at how, like Lily said, nature can not only be our inspiration, but also our teacher. Next, we have waste as a resource. And that's been a leading consideration. I'm sure we've all had. Our team has done a lot of research behind the wealth and waste. So how can we rethink our sourcing, our production, our usage in products so that we champion that sentiment? Followed by that, we have regenerative systems. And that speaks to the increased demand for biodegradability and really eco-integrated production. Knowing that we're taking so much from the earth, how can we perhaps foster a more positive relationship with it? And we feel that a lot of those answers are through these regenerative systems. The gift that you're seeing here is from Volleybach, and that's a super innovative performance wear brand. And this product here is a biodegradable shirt printed with algae ink, super cool. And then finally rounding out, we have championing the rights of nature. So how can we honestly take a step back to acknowledge what we don't need to take maybe, and then fully also honor the elements that we do. And this is a huge conversation surrounding protection. What rights does nature have to itself? But we feel very strongly about this and its importance in whole. So with that, I'll pass it to Olaf, who can speak to Messe Frankfurt's perspective.
Yes, I think especially in sustainable developments, you see there is a close connection between innovation and sustainability. We see, especially when you're looking for new production methods with special machinery, but also which kind of fibers you can use to be more sustainable. And perhaps we can switch to the next charts. We have some examples in our home textile shows at our the last edition of High-Tech in Frankfurt, because my feeling was always that sustainable fabrics, sustainable solutions mainly are focusing on the garment industry and for the fashion industry. But of course, also in the home textile segment, you find many very interesting sustainable solutions. And I would like to focus on two examples. One is the picture in the middle. These are some products from the Austrian company Fossen. The product is vegan live. It's the first vegan bathrobe collection certified by the European Vegetarian Union. And the collection is being produced completely without animal substances, so 100% organic cotton. I think a very innovative development. And I talked to the company, as they said to me, the people really ask for this kind of product. It's an innovation from their company, but in the retail shops, it's the response from the customer is really good. And I think a very nice, interesting product. And which is also from the innovative perspective interesting, is recrafted So Recrafted uses pineapple leaves from London markets and juice bars to produce vegan alternative to wool. So you see you have some drinks in your bar, and later on perhaps you can wear the t-shirts from the waste, usually from the waste. So I think a very nice story. And the designer Natalie Spencer from the University of Arts London uses traditional spinning and weaving craft technology to create this wonderful product. So you see it's close innovation and sustainability, and in all kinds of development in the textile industry, not only in the fashion industry, but also in the home textile industry.
That's great, great examples. I'm sure there's so many more that you could have spoken to. Let's get to our experts and address some questions. So Harold, starting with you, what does the current pandemic situation tell us about nature's karma, and how can that help us drive sustainability to the new normal? I know you touched it a little bit, but I think you could expand some more.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Lily. Yeah, like I said before, I believe the current pandemic situation is a way of nature saying to us, hey, this is enough, and here is where we draw a line in the sand. And I think that's a really wake-up call for us. According to the US Center of Disease Control and Prevention, despite that 3/4 of the new or emerging diseases that infect humans are originating from animals, but the human activity is still the main reason for multiplying this risk of contagion. And human activity is also often the main reason behind most natural disasters, like tsunamis or melting ice caps or major floods, tornadoes, or some of the huge forest fires that we have seen in the past years. And the results of those are equally or even more devastating than that of the current COVID-19 crisis. So I think pushing the environmental protection to the top of our priority list is a must-do for all of us. And one of the things that the pandemic shows us is that as individuals, we can achieve a huge impact and make a difference if we act collectively. And while maybe the COVID-19 crisis is not directly related to sustainability, it is going to increase the focus on it, and it's going to drive this to the new normal.
Yeah, fully agree. So much more to say there, but I want to move to Marco. We're seeing a major uptick in natural byproducts, as we said, and waste-led design. How do you expect to see that influence the role of material sourcing and manufacturing?
I mean, I think that we should look at this question with two different angles. Let's say the first one is that today our industry, again, we are working mainly in the cotton industry, cannot make anything responsible or sustainable if not looking at the entire value chain. The second aspect is that there are a lot of companies in apparel which are just shouting we are sustainable. I think that the others, the market should say if you are sustainable or not. Having said that, as ISCO, we do cover the entire value chain, which means we do grow our cotton, we do spin our yarns, we weave, we finish, and in some cases we do also produce the garments. So having an eye on the whole value chain, it is possible to make a shift from impactful materials, which means from raw materials which are creating an impact on the environment, shifting to more natural materials. Another very important aspect, in my opinion, is that, again, I'm speaking for the cotton industry, by 2030, we will be around 9 billion people on planet Earth, which means that we will be in the condition to decide if to grow cotton or if to feed people, okay? So a huge role will be played by man-made fibers. And again, I think we do have currently very good business relations with Lansing. And in this case, I think that viscose could be, or viscose-based products could be a good alternative to the, let's say, to preserve the environment, as well as we should look into all man-made fibers, such as recycled polyester or recycled elastans. Last sentence, then I conclude. We have been launching on the marketplace 6 months ago a collection which is called R2, where R2 stands for reused and recycled, where I guess all people attending the panel do know that denim is about cotton. We are trying to push a little bit further the boundaries of denim, using not just cotton, but also recycled polyester in order to have a less impact on the environment. So again, experimenting new solutions is about finding a new way of being more sustainable, as well as trying, again, this is really key, to let's say, have an holistic vision of the value chain, because of the fact if consumers are finding sustainable products in the stores, it's because there is a sustainable value chain behind feeding the brands.
Yes, thank you, Marco. Georg, can you share any interesting new natural developments you're working on right now?
Yeah, I can do. We have a number of projects currently under development, which all touches sustainable aspects, such as the inclusion of recycling aspects in our standard 100. The next project is the further development of our GMO testing, where we are trying to achieve a quantitative measurement to determine the content of GMO. And last but not least, for me, is it the most important project we are doing right now, the integration of a CO2 footprint in our STEP certification, respectively, in our Made in Green label. These are the projects, the most important projects for the OEKO-TEX Association right now.
Great. Thank you, Georg. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to our last pillar. And this is where we address less but better. This has been obviously a question for us for a while. It's no question that we're clear that we've been consuming too much. And we're also hearing and concerned that people are going to have less to spend. You know, hopefully we all come out of this. A lot of people have lost jobs, and there is a version of a recession coming our way, and people are concerned that everyone's going to have less to spend. We believe that even, people will be choosing real solutions. Product is going to have to be serving a specific answer, or it's going to have to really make us feel really good. The buying choices are going to be very specific for people. We hope that it wakes everyone up to not just consume for consumption's sake, but really make powerful choices. So we've been encouraging brands to really think about less but better, focus on better products, focus on really the benefits of everything that you create. We've been talking about lab-grown alternatives, which we'll address in here, and then really investing in product that lasts. So not just overconsumption and just making product for making product, but less but better. And I think sustainability falls so perfectly into this conversation. So Nia will take us through how that aligns there.
Awesome, thanks, Lily. So for this final pillar, less but better, the first driving principle we have here is circular design. And with that, of course, the goal is to design so that resources are continuously cycled in various forms. In a sense, it's almost designing the waste out of a product. And then that's a great segue into the next driver we called product lifespan. And this, of course, can be linked to circular design with products that can be recycled, but it can also be the opposite in that there's a lot of companies that we've seen that they feel very strongly about designing for longevity. And their aim is that, you know, if we want products that are sustainable, then that can mean that they are designed really well and will last really long, as Lily mentioned, quality. The next driver we have here is design for disassembly. And that's really the opposite approach, right, to designing for longevity. So we put so much emphasis into making, but how can possibly unmaking something, in a sense, also add just as much value, if not more, to a product? Our team at Fashion Stoops has been tracking so many brands with concepts or products that can be almost completely disassembled and then reassembled into something else. A newer example that I can think of is from this French company, sports brand Salomon. And they developed a completely recyclable running shoe made out of TPU. And then that shoe can be turned into another one of their products, their ski boot shells. And then finally rounding out the drivers, we love this one, necessity driven, which is especially important for consumers right now, as Lily mentioned, you know, really being conscious about their purchasing and their choices. So how can we offer, like the pillar's name, less but better? And maybe that's all we really need. An example that's included here is from Adidas and by Bore. And they developed a line of fabrics that were undyed or treated so that the fabrics, the natural color can shine through, and kind of stripping all of those processes that maybe we don't need in the final product. And now I can pass it along to Olaf to give his perspective on this as well.
Yeah, Nia, thank you very much. I think what you explained is exactly what we also note at our shows, on our textile shows. Innovation, it's very important in the context of sustainable developments. And our target also with our lectures and our connection with the industry from the exhibitor, but also from the exhibitor side, visitor, but also from the exhibitor side, is to bring fibers, fabrics, the production process and recycling process, all the people together to create some new ideas how you can support the sustainable idea in the future to make the world even a little better. I think that's really important. And you already present some examples from the fashion industry. We also have 3 examples from the fashion industry, mainly in the context with neoknit. You see this on the next chart. Perhaps you can switch to the next one. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. I would like to start with Closed Loop. It's an exhibitor at our show in neoknit in Berlin, a recycling company from Sweden, and they are focusing on showcasing the circular recycling technology for used clothing, and they're mainly targeting on garments with cotton and viscose, and how they can transform this unused or these used products to new cellulose fibers and to create something new. And this is really a high technology to create this kind of products with exactly what this company from Sweden developed with the team some years ago. And transparency, it's important for the customer. They would like to know exactly which kind of product they have, they buy in the shop. They ask something about the background of the fiber, who produced the fabric, which kind of technology they use, and all these kind of things. And I think transparency is really important. And they have the idea to have a small code on the hang tag, like a hang tag, which documents the journey behind the production of the jeans. So exactly you see in which country, which workers, which fibers, and how is the production method of this product. And it's very clear for the customer. And I think this is also important at the end to know what's happened with your garments before you can buy it in the shop. In the sustainable or sustainable brands are sometimes very small brands. They don't have a good platform, web platform. They need support from shops, but also from some new technology platforms who are mainly focusing on sustainable solution. And we have, I think, a very interesting online shopping platform, Allstay. It's a new online fashion platform for sustainable brands, which recommend some products, personalized experience with every user. And it's also possible that customer can collect donations points, and they can donate it to a non-profit organization. So it's a win-win situation. First, that brands are able to present their product on this platform, but also when you buy something, then you can donate also to a non-profit organization. I think a really nice idea to support the whole idea of sustainability.
Great, thank you. We're gonna move, we're flooded with questions on the side. I hope we get to some of them. I'm gonna do my best to get through the 3 we have selected and then see if we could answer some more. So we might go a little bit over time, but the speakers, if you guys see all the questions, yeah, clearly this is a topic that is top to mind on a lot of people's minds. And I think what I'm seeing and have been feeling a lot is people really need answers. Where do I get this? How do I access this resource? I think that the industry is really calling out to be educated and provide resources. So what we'll do is we'll gather some of your questions and possibly reply to some of you directly by email. But my heart's just expanded by really feeling how much people want this shift. And it's just about supplying them with real solutions that possibly will make that a reality. But let's address these questions quickly, and then maybe we can get to 1 or 2 from the audience. So Marco, we're seeing a prominent shift, as Nia explained, towards a continuous object that are designed for disassembly and reassembly, or with a biodegradable aspect. Can you speak to some examples of how you're addressing that shift?
Yes, very, very quickly. Again, shifting huge productions as ours to using biodegradable materials or to using recyclable materials is a long journey, which we have been, let's say, starting a couple of years ago. It is not easy to use biodegradable raw materials because of the fact you have to ensure consistency of production. Again, it is possible in some cases to use biodegradable man-made fibers. It is possible mainly in the dyeing processes of the fabrics to use some less impactful dyestuffs, as well as in some cases some natural dyestuffs. All in all, again, if it's true what I said at the beginning, that our role is to, let's say, reduce as much as possible the footprint on the environment thanks to technology, we are trying to address a smaller footprint, not just thanks to biodegradable materials, but thanks to a 360 degrees approach to the value chain. That's a little bit what we are doing today, because let's say using biodegradable materials connected with the cotton industry, it is not that much easy, to be very honest.
Got it. Okay, moving on to Georg. We've been talking a lot about solution-minded products. And obviously right now people are concerned about, all different kinds of protection from the elements. Can you share an example of a resource or a product you're aware of or creating that answers both the need for protection, but is also a sustainable solution?
Yeah, I would like to take the opportunity to explain all of you how Made in Green is helping us towards more transparency, towards more protection and sustainability. The Made in Green by OEKO-TEX product label verifies that textiles are tested on the one side for harmful substances, and they are produced in facilities that protect workers and manufactured with environmentally friendly production processes. This is the core. And to receive this label, this Made in Green by OEKO-TEX label, a product is tested to validate that chemicals in textiles are below levels that would typically cause harm and ensures compliance with the regulations around the world in accordance with our standards, with the standard 100 or the leather standard by OEKO-TEX. And finally, a product with a Made in Green by OEKO-TEX label must also be produced in a facility that implements environmentally friendly production processes in the long term. This is very important for us. From the use of chemicals from the very beginning, so is spoken, to the wastewater treatment as well. Suppliers must also take actions to improve working conditions for sure, and strengthen health and safety protection for the workers at the production sites. This includes checking working time, for example, fair wage payments and social insurance, as well as compliance for hygiene and medical requirements. This is the way we do it, and this is the way we try to show the consumer that the products are made under these conditions.
Got it. Thank you. Harold, we'll end these round of questions with you. I know you wanted to talk about a trend called atmosphere and the effect on that in the apparel and textile industry. And if you wanted to add anything about, we've been hearing from people that they're concerned that there will be a fear around bacteria dye practices because of this whole pandemic. Can you address that in some way as well?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that, Lily. Overall, I mean, I love this pillar specifically because this is, I believe, where this pillar of less but better is where the action lies, and that where we as an industry can make a difference by contributing to the circular economy, by using more biodegradable materials, etc. And one of the examples that we are at Lenzing are contributing there is with tensile refibra technology, and that is those are virgin lyocell fibers mixed with recycled fibers made from cotton waste, and this is both pre and post consumer cotton waste. And our vision is now it's 30% of cotton waste, but our vision is to move that in the next 5 years to 50%. So that's so far about this less but better. But yeah, regarding the bacteria, I believe that I like to indeed address this from the perspective of the case that you've raised is how we tend to make assumptions and are skeptical towards unfamiliar products or materials, especially after the COVID-19 crisis. I really expect an increasing trend towards what you also say, this atmosphere. A fear as in a concern about bacteria and viruses around us. And I think as a consequence, this could lead to growing respect for nature and also a desire to live in harmony with nature. And consumers and the fashion industry together will drive transparency, as also was addressed by Olaf, in the value chain and make eco-fashion a top priority. So that again is good news to turn sustainability into the new normal.
Many of you are still with us, and I know we're at 1 hour. So again, we respect if you need to go. Experts, can you stay on for another few minutes just to answer some questions that we got from the audience?
Sure.
Yes.
Anybody? Sure. Okay, great. So we're all of you that have joined us and need to go. We appreciate you. We are with you as you make more sustainable choices. We're going to try to address some of those questions via email. Don't give up. The answers are out there. There's 4 experts on this call, but there's many more out there who are paving the way of making this easier for all of you. So stick with it, and we hope that today's webinar answered some of your questions. And of course, this is a huge, colossal issue, problem, undertake. So it's not going to be answered in one webinar, or even if we do 50 webinars, we're still going to be able to answer all the questions. But continuing the dialogue and continuing the exploration, and believing that this is a must, not a nice to have. This is a must for all companies. In whatever form you can invest in it, it's important to really have a conscious design process. So I'm going to take some questions. One of them came from Manan, and they're saying, how do we make sure that sustainable, well-designed products made to last are accessible to more people, particularly around price in the mass market? And we've had that come up a lot through our webinars, because everyone's saying, that's lovely, I hear you, but I sell to the mass market, and what material is available that I could actually afford to flow into that retail channel? So if any of you have an answer, just raise your hand and I'll see you, and then I'll call on you so we don't speak over each other. Harold, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, and I'm really positive about that this is happening and will continue to happen. It's often that it was a kind of paradigm or a paradox that sustainability is expensive, or sustainability and affordable cannot go together. Like sustainability also and comfort cannot go together. But I think there is enough proof already that this is not the case. We see, and there was also one of the questions, we see that sustainability is not something which is only for the eco couture or for high-end fashion. It's across all layers of the pyramid. And I believe in driving sustainability, it will also become much more cheaper. And if we are able to work together with value chain partners and create transparency, I'm convinced that it will become much more affordable for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. Marco, did you want to add, or can I jump to a different question?
I fully agree with Harold. On top of that, I would say that if it's true that after the pandemic, consumers will be buying less because of the fact they are aware of the fact that we can't waste resources, most likely if we will be able to design clothes which are able to last longer, most likely we would be able to shift with consumers the perspective from a perspective of cost to a perspective of value of the garments available in the stores. And I guess this would help also to hit the mass market.
Agree. I have a question here from Emma. She's from North Carolina, and she's saying the topic of sustainability and ethical fashion has been an ongoing conversation for those in the industry. However, it seems that the general consumer is still unaware of the issues around this topic. How much of this effort will need to start with marketing and educating the public, and how do you think that will look for brands? Would you say marketing plays a big role in starting the conversation? Before I direct it to you, I mean, we've heard this a lot. I wanted to just quickly answer what I've been feeling, and then of course raise your hand and I'm going to direct it to you. But you know, I don't think this is any more about making the consumer understand, although I think many of them do. I think this is about the responsibility of the product makers, meaning that it is, even if no one gets it as a consumer, we are still responsible because we are the ones that are putting the product into the world. We are the ones who are using or not using the resources, and we are making those choices. So I think that educating the industry, us, the makers of product and the retailers, begins first. And of course, then educating the consumers in choosing those products that are more sustainable. But I think it begins with us. And I think that consumers do know, and they are voting with their dollars, and the brands who have been behind this conversation for a long time are gaining momentum and being recognized. Anyone have anything to add to that question? Because I think it's important to address. Georg, you want to go ahead, and Harold,
yeah,
I'll call you.
I think this is a very complicated question. And in my mind, we all are responsible for that. So the industry, the brands, and the end consumer. But if you look, I have two daughters, honestly, and if I look what they have in school, there is no minute regarding sustainable aspects. What to buy, how long to wear. And this is, in my mind, very important, that education from our children is, for me, the very first, because they make the decision in a few years to buy or not to buy, to use or not to use, or to reuse, and to handle it with care.
Agree. Harold, did you want to add anything? Thank you, Georg.
Yeah, I agree with what Georg is saying. I think we all have to take responsibility there, and we as manufacturers in the first place. But it's really it's not restricted to us. It's also including legislation, for example, that we are taxing. As an example, that we are taxing unsustainable materials. Or also from a consumers, because I mean, if we look all together, the majority of the apparel that we are buying is unsustainable. That's a fact, and we still have to make a huge shift, and that can only happen if we all work together. So that's back to the original question about partnerships and collaboration.
Yeah, we had actually a question about the that relates to this, and maybe all of you want to add here as well. Dana is asking, how can we ensure that government entities become more involved in making sure sustainability is just not just a nice to have, but a must all around the world? And Harold, you already touched on it, but all of you, anything you want to add, or any of the other speakers?
I think it's a very difficult question, because you see we have also different development in the world, how governments take care on sustainable issues. I would like to mention some specific countries, but I think mainly also the government has to make clear how important sustainable development, not only in the textile context, is important for the future of the life and the people, and at the end also child. So I think specific when we talk about food, it's easier to transfer this information. It's good to have healthy food and ecological food. It's easier than to talk about sustainable fashion. But at the end, also I would like to add one to the question before. Also, we have to educate the staff in the retail shops, that they explain the buyer what is sustainable and what is the background of the product. Because mainly when you go in the shop and ask some stuff, they sometimes don't know exactly what is exactly sustainable, and what they can explain, how you can identify this in your products.
Yeah. I agree. I'm going to end with this question, because I think it's kind of the bottom line of all of it. And I'd like for each of you to kind of wrap it up in how you feel about this. And we can close that way. But we've heard this a lot. And this is the big challenge for everybody, is Jeroen said, the challenge is that the owners want a better financial result compared to last year and every year. yes, they want sustainability, but they still with financial growth. And the question is, it doesn't go together, or does it? I guess the way I hear it, and I've spoken to many, can you make a sustainable business a successful, profitable business? That is the question. And I guess all of us that on one hand that we want to protect the earth, but we're also here running businesses. So can you, each of you, speak to that? Maybe raise your hand so I know who's first. Great. Georg, do you want to wrap up with that?
Yeah, my experience is if you act in a sustainable way, this is the best way in an economic view, because you can save money endless. What is sustainability? It's okay, it has social aspects, but in front there are aspects like saving water, saving electricity, and so on. And my experience in my working time in the industry is that if you do it in that way, saving water, thinking about your treatments, reduce waste, enlarge quality, that you in that stage can save money, you can earn money, and this is a very good example at the end to come to a statement that sustainability saves money, it does not cost money. This is my experience.
Thank you. That's great point. Harold, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I would love to. I think it's difficult to marry the two. I mean, we've pursued a policy of growth and chasing financial targets, and we've seen where it got us at the moment. And I think what would be interesting is to embrace or to think about a future where not only financial success becomes a measure of success, but quality of life. And I think I would really love when companies would not only drive their annual financial results, but also their sustainability targets. So that is what I would go for.
Yeah, amen to that, Harold. Amen to that. Marco, do you want to complete the thoughts?
I mean, yes, again, if we are manufacturers, as Lansing is a manufacturer, sometimes manufacturers are squeezed by brands and retailers on the markups, but I think that now it's time to change. Really, if we work all together as industry, it is possible and to build a long-lasting sustainable growth, because all of us have said that sustainability is about long-term view of a company. So if sustainability is part of the vision of the company, it's possible to make profit while being sustainable. I'm a huge fan of sustainable business, because you just do not only save on costs, but it's possible to impact on the value of the business you are operating.
Great. Olaf, do you want to complete any additional thoughts?
I absolutely agree to everything what mentioned before. So I think there is no alternative. There is no alternative to be more green and more sustainable in the future. When you decide not to be that as a company, I think you have no future. I think it's very clear. Also, when you think at the moment, it's better not to do it.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I agree. We've had some amazing, we've led, I said over 30 webinars. I've never seen so many questions and comments and statements as in this one. We appreciate you, and we think there's an amazingly smart audience that has joined us, because all the comments are so spot on and resonating with everything that we've been saying. I think it's if everybody on this webinar makes some sort of step towards a more conscious, sustainable product creation, then I think many of us will be more ahead, and maybe nature could take, be more, not try to not have this happen again. Maybe we could all align with nature more. We'll live in harmony, and it look a lot different than where we've been in the current moment. I'm really moved. I wish that I could speak and answer every single one of these questions. I know that I'm going to take the time and read all of these comments. We're going to share your comments with the speakers, with the experts in our panel. We appreciate you joining. Please share your efforts with us. Please share what you're discovering with the community, so everybody learns from what you found out and what you've discovered. Thank you so much to our experts, Harold, Marco, Georg, and Olaf. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for saying yes to this collaboration and to many more conversations, hopefully in the future. And Harold, thank you for staying up so late. Have a good night.
Well,
thank you.
Or a good morning already. Thank you, everybody.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.